In Palestine, humanitarian emergency worsens as the hours tick by. Nearly 2 million people in the enclave reduce their food consumption to 1 meal a day and drink polluted water. In Canada, several Caribbean leaders met with the Prime Minister of Canada to tackle priority issues as climate change, menace, and Haiti's crisis. In Haiti, Anthony Virgin Saint-Pierre, Secretary General of the High Transitional Council of Haiti, was kidnapped. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The humanitarian emergency in Gaza worsens as the hours tick by, and only 2 million people in the enclave reduce their food consumption to 1 meal a day and drink polluted water. With no electricity and no homes, the people of Gaza survive dozing the little food they still have left. The lack of energy and supply forced millions to drink polluted water. Humanitarian organizations announced that hospitals are on the edge of collapse, in addition to the crisis already affecting them due to the blockade imposed by Tel Aviv. There are 13 days of the edge and more than 12,000 wounded. The Palestinian representative to the United Nations have asked the media to honor the truth and to tell the truth about the war crimes committed by Israel against women and children. On Thursday, local media in Palestine highlighted that the siege of the Israeli occupier against the Palestinian people reaches the provinces of Florida, Tulkarem, Jericho, and Bethlehem, where they arrested more than 120 citizens, including legislators and journalists. According to the Commission of Prisoners and Ex-Prisoners and the Palestinian Prisoner Club, this is the highest number of arbitrary arrests since the beginning of the violence 13 days ago. The strongest raids have taken place in Hebron and Ramallah, but they are rarely spread into the north and center. Large military contingents assault streets and neighborhoods. According to the last report presented by the Palestinian organizations, in 13 days, the occupier has arrested more than 850 citizens. In Palestine, Israeli attack on the mosque left 100 dead and countless wounded in the central Gaza Strip. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported that Palestinian civilians were killed instantly and others were wounded during Israeli bombardment of the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Mosque in the Nusayrat camp. The Health Ministry also detailed that at least 30 Palestinian citizens were killed after several homes were attacked in the north by the Strip by Israeli planes. And the United Nations registered at least 6 people killed when a school run by the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency in central Gaza Strip was in Israeli airstrikes. Authorities also report dozens wounded, most of them children. The school has served as a shelter for some 4,000 displaced people since Israel's bombardments against Gaza began over a week ago. An estimated 1 million people have been displaced across the Gaza Strip. That's nearly half of its estimated total population of 2.3 million.
A third of the casualties and martyrs that we have received are children. We have more than 60 children in the hospital who are displaced. There are bombings and targets around the hospital area that bring despair into the heart of these children.
The doctors took us outside to the courtyard of the hospital because there were not empty beds inside to accommodate this large number of injured people. And here we are, as you see, outside.
This Wednesday, Venezuela delivered to Egypt the first shipment of humanitarian aid for the people of Gaza, which continue to suffer indiscriminate attacks by the Israeli occupation forces. The shipment consists of basic necessity for the people injured in Israeli attacks. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Hill posted on his official accounts that the state demands respect for the human rights of the Palestinian people. In this context, the Venezuelan Foreign Minister called for a direct support plan to establish humanitarian channels so that people of Gaza can receive supplies. The United States vetoed a UN Security Council resolution on Wednesday calling for humanitarian pause in the raging Israel-Hamas conflict. 12 out of 15 council members voted in favor of the resolution put forward by Brazil and negotiated over several days, while Russia and the United Kingdom abstained. The United States was the only vote against, but as one of the body's 5 permanent members, it voted cancels a veto. The text urges all parties to fully comply with their obligations under international law. In the United States, citizens rallied at the Capitol to demand an end to the total siege of Tel Aviv regime against the Gaza Strip. Under the slogan "Ceasefire Now," representatives of Jewish movements rallied inside the Cannon House office, one of the buildings that make up the structure of the legislative headquarters. At the same time, thousands of people protested outside the building and in other areas of the U.S. Capitol to reject Israeli abuses. So often we hear from Israel's spokesman that their missiles execute Arab terrorists. This happened this Saturday when shells fired by the occupying army hit a house in the Shiva Valley on the southern border of Lebanon. Alejandro Kik, our teleSUR special envoy, went to the scene. Let's have a look and see what he found out.
In this house, up the hill, live the Lebanese elders Stan and Sanin. The Israeli occupation army classified them as terrorists and murdered them with 2 accurate missiles. They called for help after the first hit. The second one wiped them out. And this is what was left of their home. This is the owner of the house and the brother of one of them.
Part of the resistance that is going to use all its strength to reclaim our territories in the borders of Sheba and in Palestine. What was taken by force cannot be recovered by force. We are firm. We will not leave. We will not leave the city. Since the creation of this entity, Israel has bombed the border village, especially the villages of Arqub. They have left us hundreds of martyrs and wounded. But with the help of God, we will stay, we will have patience, we will see the end.
On the border between Lebanon and Syria is one of the many wounds opened by the occupation in Palestine. Behind these mountains are the Golden Heights, taken by Zionism from Syria, and the Shiva farms, stolen from Lebanon. The village is large, low density, nestled in the rock.
Yes, we live off our land, our homes, and our work. That's why we stand firm. That is why we are going to keep this country with our land and our heritage here. This country, despite all of the risk and the difficulties, yes, we live in our land and all that difficulties and risks are in this country.
Marrakesh is the name of the delicious bread that comes from the hands of this specialist who does not want to give her name. The only modern technology here is gas, and, if you like, the cushion. She sells her product 20 meters from the wall that separates Lebanon from the occupied Palestine.
War is back. It's completely back. But we are not afraid. We live in our homes away from fear. It is normal for many people. We are not stupid. We are proud here. And what we live is not normal. I mean, the only fear we have is for the little children.
Desde la frontera del Líbano con Palestina ocupada, Alejandro Kirk, teleSUR.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English. We'll find news in different formats, new dates, and more. Other studies coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. Several Caribbean leaders met with the Prime Minister of Canada to tackle priority issues as climate change, menace, and Haiti's crisis. The meeting called by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau aimed at strengthening ties and addressing crucial issues for the region, including Caribbean nations pose a serious threat due to climate change. In that regard, Prime Minister Barbados monthly debated on the reforms of credit entities which affect so much the country and assured there is no political will to solve the predicament. Haiti was another issue of the encounter on which Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Ferret, delved into it for a long time. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Thursday for North Korea that relations between the two countries have reached a strategic level. Lavrov referred to the importance of the historic summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un held in Russian territory in September. The Russian Foreign Minister said that relations between the two countries have reached a qualitatively new strategic level. During his stay in the Asian nation, he has led meetings with his counterparts, Cho Son-hu, and several North Korean authorities which have served to consolidate the agreements reached by the highest authorities of both nations. On Wednesday, the Third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation opened in China with the presence of several world leaders. At the opening of the forum, Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered a speech in which he stressed that the initiative was born with the aspiration to promote connectivity in politics, infrastructure, trade and people-to-people financing with all countries, so as to inject new impetus into the world economy, create new opportunities for global development, and build a new platform for international economic cooperation.
It is important that we have a specific agreement between Russia and China about parallel and coordinated development of the EAEU and the BRI. We also have a non-preferential agreement about trade and economic cooperation between the EAEU member states and the PRC. To unite efforts to implement this agreement, we have established a joint commission. In February of this year, a detailed roadmap was adopted that in particular includes establishing interaction between Eurasian Union and China in trade policy and transport corridors digitalization. I'll point out that integration agenda, in the widest meaning, is an integral part of Russian national development strategy and strengthening our economic, technological, and financial sovereignty.
President Xi Jinping is willing to strengthen the Belt and Road Initiative project and other programs for the sake of a global economy based on multilateral relations.
Third, carrying out practical cooperation. China will promote both signature projects and small yet smart livelihood programs. The China Development Bank and the Export-Import Bank of China will each set up a 350 billion yuan financing window. An additional 80 billion yuan will be injected into the Silk Road Fund. Together, they will support BRI projects on the basis of market and business operation. Cooperation agreements worth $97.2 billion have been concluded at the CEO conference held during this forum. China will also carry out 1,000 small-scale livelihood assistance projects.
Argentinian President Alberto Fernandez held a bilateral meeting on Wednesday with the Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, where they reaffirmed their continuity of the joint work on the Belt and Silk Road. At the meeting, the Chinese leader highlighted the strategic relationship between the two countries forged during the fourth year of the presidency of Alberto Fernandez, whom he thanked for the support and strengthening of the relation. In this context, Xi Jinping stated that his country will continue to encourage investment by Chinese companies in Argentina in addition to promoting imports of Argentine products. And during his speech at the opening ceremony on Wednesday, Argentine President stated that the Belt and Road Initiative is a boost to regional cooperation mechanisms and is conducive to promoting relations among countries around the world.
Presently, hegemony is decaying and regional frictions are ceaseless. In this context, the BRI, with the concept of co-building, has become a promising global cooperative initiative. For us, supporters of multilateralism, the BRI is a mechanism promoting relations among countries. It does not compete with existing regional cooperation mechanisms, but dovetail them by tapping their respective advantages. We also appreciate the Chinese government for supporting us to join the BRICS cooperation mechanism. The countries covered by the mechanism all advocate rejecting hegemony, respecting multilateralism, and rethinking international relations on this basis.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel, teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Anthony Virginie St-Pierre, Secretary General of the High Transnational Council of Haiti, was kidnapped on Wednesday in Haiti. The incident has been confirmed by Merlin Manjet, the president of the High Council, who stated that a group of heavily armed men took the Secretary General away. Other versions of the incident add that the perpetrators were wearing police uniforms, a resource often used by the criminal gangs that terrorize the Caribbean nation. The announcement of the supposed arrival of a multinational force to reduce violence has failed to intimidate the criminal gangs that have already carried out more than 1,400 kidnappings so far in 2023. President Maduro held a meeting with the Venezuelan delegation that signed partial agreements with the sector of the opposition in Barbados. President Nicolas Maduro highlighted that oil and gas transactions and production in Venezuela were facilitated by the Foreign Assets Control Office. He also celebrated the signing of partial agreements with the opposition sector in Barbados. Likewise, he expressed rejection to the coercive and unilateral measures offered by the country and reiterated the national joy for the return of the first group of repatriated Venezuelans. Moreover, the president spoke about the lifting some sanctions on PDVSA, Conviasa Gold, and the Central Bank of Venezuela.
One of the things that our brothers who migrated forced by criminal sanctions suffer the most is that they have to work in Santiago, in Lima, in New York. They have to work 14, 15, 16 hours from Monday to Monday. They do not know what is a Thursday of rumba, a Friday of bochinche, and a Saturday with the family. They do not know what that is. That is why I am glad that today, in compliance with the agreements discussed and signed between the Venezuelan authorities and the government of the United States, the first group of Venezuelans who have been repatriated as part of the plan to return to their homeland have come back.
Likewise, President Nicolas Maduro said the government is fighting to put an end to the sanctions imposed in Venezuela.
We have been fighting to denounce internationally the criminal sanctions against Venezuela during all these years. In all international public forums, and I can say that today it is a global agreement that sanctions against Venezuela must end. That all sanctions against Venezuela must be lifted, that Venezuela has the right to economic freedom, that Venezuela has the right to commercial freedom is a global agreement, whoever you talk to in the world.
The head of the delegation of the government of Venezuela, Jorge Rodriguez, described as suspicious the dialogue achieved with the sector of the opposition in Barbados.
That the parties ratify our intention that the political and social affairs of the political sectors of Venezuela must be settled by peaceful, constitutional, and electoral means. We call for the construction of a climate of tolerance. We call for the preservation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. And in this sense, it is very auspicious that those who in the past called and made calls for coup d'etat, for invasions of our sacred territory, those who called for sanctions against the people of Venezuela, today, in the final element of this document, establishes the need to lift the sanctions against Venezuelan state and vindicating independence, freedom, sovereignty, immunity, territorial integrity, and national self-determination is inalienable rights of the nation.
In Chile, the 19th edition of the PanAmerican Games begins on October 18th, ahead of the opening ceremony on October 20th. This is the continental event for national Olympic committees in North, Central, and South America and the Caribbean. Paris 2024 Olympic qualification quotas are also available in 13 sports. The first sport to see action this Wednesday is baseball, with the opening match between host Chile and Mexico. The Santiago 2023 mascot is named Few. It is a bird inspired by the Rush Tyrant, which has 7 colors and is indigenous to South America. We have come to the end of this brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telsurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Ana Razabal. Thank you for watching.